Hi everyone, welcome back to Enjoy English School. I'm Bruce.
I'm Anthony.
Today we are sort of going to Japan. We'll be talking about a Japanese person and at first a very unusual situation that later we found out affects many people.
Yeah, 我们今天要讲的主题呢，在中文里面你可以看到哦，他这边讲到说的进书店就变异浓，对不对？好，这个变异还特别把它框号出来。但如果你光看英文标题，它是 Mariko Aoki Phenomenon， 这个地方特别注意一下 ，Phenomenon 这个字的意思指的是现象。如果说今天你是一个英文的读者，你光看到 Mariko Aoki Phenomenon， 你就知道说哦，前面这个是一个日本人的名字，可是这个日本人的名字的这个现象，其实你不晓得，你没有得到太多的资讯的。但是看到中文你就知道哦。一进书店，突然就好想要上大号哦，哎，就是这种现象。那到底这是怎么回事？那这个现象为什么用这个日本名字来命名呢？我们赶快来看看今天内容吧。
Okay, now let's get busy. First paragraph. In 1985, in the 40th volume of the magazine Book, the editor published a letter from a woman in Tokyo. So we're going back quite a few years now. There is a magazine with the name Book. That confused me when I first read it, but as I read the whole paragraph, oh, okay, it's a magazine that talks about books, and it's called Book, or at least in Japanese. And the 40th volume means if it's a monthly magazine, and it probably is, it's been running for, say, 3 to 4 years. In that magazine, the editor of the magazine, the person really in charge of the magazine, published a letter. This sometimes happens. In fact, the editor may welcome the public to respond to what the magazine features, what it shows people, because then they know if people are really interested in their magazine and will buy it. So the editor has to know that. A woman in Tokyo wrote a letter, which we will describe in a moment.
OK， 所以第一句话里面有看到了哦，距离现在有一段时间了，对不对？大概35年左右了。In 1985， 好，1985年的时候呢 ，in the 40th volume of the magazine Book。好，这边老师刚刚特别提到了，后来去查了一下，它的这个杂志的名称就叫做 Book。好，就是这个杂志就叫书，它的那个日文原名叫做 Hono Zashi。好，就是书的这个杂志，介绍书的杂志。在它第40期的这个专刊里头呢 ，The editor published a letter。好，这个 a letter from a woman in Tokyo， 这个地方就是刊载了一个读者的投书。好，他们老师刚刚提到说，这些作者或是编辑呢，很高兴的时候能够希望说，哎，大家来跟我们分享一下，你看我们这一期的心得跟感想啊，我们准备的主题你们感不感兴趣啊？老师刚刚用到这个字 feature 这个字的话，可以当动词使用 feature。feature， 那如果说今天当名词使用的话，就是它的专题。如果你对专题感兴趣的话，你就会。读者会有投书嘛，然后他就刊载了一个来自于东京的一位女生，好女士，她的投书。那这个投书内容，那下一句就告诉你了。
Okay, she wrote that, we have a cloze exercise for you. This is our cloze moment for the month, and we always have 5 blanks in a piece of an article. And you have 4 choices. Which one makes the most sense? Which one is correct? So we have, she wrote that blank. She walked into a bookstore. She would feel the urge. An urge is, I've got to do something right away. I want something right away. To use the restroom or the bathroom. Now, we can describe that as an urge because it's sometimes hard to control. But our problem right now is, for number 1, what fits here? She wrote that now that she walked into a bookstore, no wonder that she walked into a bookstore, every time she walked into a bookstore. every since. There is no every since, so it can't be that one. And it would be C, every time, or we could also use each time. Whenever she entered a bookstore, she would feel, oh, where is the bathroom? I have to use the bathroom.
没错，在这里的话，我们答案选的是 C 哦。他就写到了，他在这投书里面就写到了 ，She wrote that every time， 每一次呢，你在这个地方你可以选择像老师刚刚所讲的 whenever， 或是 each time。or every time， 每一当呢，she walked into a bookstore，she would feel the urge。urge 这个字就是那种没有办法克制的冲动。You feel the urge to do something。如果说今天这边后面有讲是做什么事情的冲动的话，我们讲 the urge to do something。这边的 something 是什么 ？To use the restroom。好，就赶快想办法。一进了书店。感觉上就想上厕所，他都每次都有这种感觉，真的很奇妙。他就把这个东西丢到这个读者投书里头，然后大家就看到了，刊载了出来。
After the letter was published by the editor in the magazine called Book, many readers blank by saying they shared similar experiences. Now, what will go into this close blank? Disturbed, disputed, recovered, or responded. Well, the situation is people have bought the magazine, they read the woman's letter, and then here we should choose D, responded. They felt that they wanted to share something from their own experience, and if you do something because of something else, you respond to it.
Respond 就是回应的意思。我们最常搭配就是 respond to something。好，对于这个东西你怎么做回应？然后在这里的话，因为它刊载出来这样的一个经验，对不对？好 ，After the letter was published，我记得我们之前在4月1号的时候特别有提到，对不对？ 如果说今天是电子相关的产品的话，我们可以出品，我们可以用 release。但如果是书籍这种纸张类的东西出版的话，我们用 publish。所以在这里的话，他会说 After the letter was published。好 ，many readers 怎样？这边要选择的是第一这个选项 ，responded by saying， 他们就回应了。很多读者呢就回应到说什么 ，saying that。They shared similar experiences. 他们居然有类似的经验呢。
There was so much interest in the topic. Now, the topic or the subject of the letter was, where's the bathroom? I'm in a bookstore. It was very popular and apparently somewhat common. This woman, what's her name again? Aoki?
Mariko Aoki.
Yes, she had this experience, and maybe she thought, oh, I'm strange, I'm the only one who has it. But the publisher had many letters responding to this woman saying, that happens to me too. There was so much interest in the topic. Many people either had the same feeling or thought, wow, this is really interesting, that several more articles were written about it. So at first there was one article by this woman, and now other readers, or maybe Miss Aoki wrote again another article about her experience and other people's experience.
没错，所以这里的话突然就掀起了话题的热潮，对不对？哈，他就告诉你说 ，There was so much interest。interest 就是大家对于这件事情的关注跟兴趣，突然之间就涌上来了。他说我也是，我也是，大家都你们也会这样吗？好，后来他就讲说 in the topic， 好 ，the interest in the topic 就是指对这件事情的关注跟关心程度，对不对 ？That several more articles were written about it。之后就有好几篇文章在呼应这个主题。你到了书店里头，也会突然很想上厕所吗？搞不好老师刚刚提到说，搞不好这个 Aoki 女士呢，她本身也后来因为人家的雪花般的这种飞来的这种书信，她想说那我再讲一点自己的更多的经验好了，所以很多的文章都在讲这件事情。
Today, the urge to poop when one looks around a bookstore has become known as the Mariko Aoki phenomenon. The urge to poop. Poop is a polite word for going to the bathroom, especially 大号. Okay?
Do we say take the number 2?
not take, but we just say number two.
Number
I have
two.
to number two.
Oh, have to number two as a verb. Huh? I have to number two. Wow. Okay.
And notice phenomenon. Phenomenon is a special or unusual experience or situation, something that happens, an occurrence. And her name is now part of this. Many people never thought of it before or thought they were strange. I'm the only person in the world like this. Then they find out, wow, this is somewhat common. Many people have this experience, so we can call it a phenomenon, and we will capitalize it because it's a very special one. And it was named after the writer of the, and here's our third blank. Should we choose what kind of letter? A, regional, B, original, C, previous, or D, anxious. Well, the original writer wrote a letter, and that letter we would call B, original. It was the first. Then articles, there were many letters responding to it and further articles and so on. All of that is the phenomenon because of the original letter.
没错，在这里的话 original 就是最初的最开始那封信，那 original letter 就是指那封寄来的信，说啊我有这方面的这一些状况啊，或是我有碰到这样的现象啊等等，所以这整句话他是这样说的，他说 Today the urge to poop when one looks around a bookstore， 好，这是这整句话的主词，好，很想要上厕，一个人在逛书店的时候想上厕所的这种情况 has become known as 已经被大家所熟知的，被大家称呼为 the Mariko Aoki phenomenon， 因为它已经变成一个现象了，所以老师刚刚特别提到了这些字的话都要大写。Mariko Aoki 本来就是它的名字，要大写，没话讲。phenomenon 那个字的 P 最开头那个 P 的话也变大写了，它变成是一整个专有名词 a proper name，a proper noun。好，在这里的话会变成一个专有名词。逗号 which was named after the writer of the original letter， 就是用他的这个当初写这封信的这个人他的名字来命名的。我不知道，如果说今天我的名字被跟这样子的这种冲动结合在一起，他的感受是什么？他说，就拿我来命名，这样好吗？有没有经过他的同意啊？哈，我觉得真的很好奇呢。
Okay, let's take a break. Okay, welcome back, and let's continue with an unusual story about Mariko Aoki. This wasn't the first time feeling the urge to poop in a bookstore was mentioned in print. In print means it's already been published. You can find whatever word or words they're talking about in a book, in a magazine, in a pamphlet, whatever. But it was the first time with the name blank to it. So the urge to poop in a bookstore, as I said before, at first sounds too strange to talk about, but then so many people responded to her letter. Yeah, I have the same feeling. It's more common than people would think. So the first time with the name blank to it, well, let's see what fits here. Would it be A, attached, B, attaches, C, attaching, or D, to attaching? Of course, the word is the same. This is a grammar question for you. With the name blank to it, well, we just need attached to it. Attached will be an adjective for the preceding noun name.
没错，在这个地方我们要选的是 A, attached。好，在这里的话，你要特别注意到 with 什么东西，然后后面加上一个分词，是常常出现的一种考点哦。在这里的话，我们要特别去想说，a name is attached to something。那因为现在放在 with 的后面，那个 is 不要，那就保留这个后面的这个 participle 就可以了，就是把最后这个分词留下来。attach 就是过去分词 ，attach 答案选 A。所以整句话意思就是说 ，This wasn't the first time feeling the urge to poop in the bookstore was mentioned in print。这不是在这个书籍刊物上面第一次有人提到说，哎呦，进了这个书店就想上厕所，这不是第一次出现在书 书籍刊物上面。但是他说 ，But it was the first time with the name attached to it， 意思就是说，但是这样的现象居然还有一个名称来形容它，还附加了一个名称在上面，这倒是头一遭。
Mariko Aoki was interviewed many times afterwards. Once something becomes popular, everybody wants to be a part of it. So if it's strange but fairly common to feel like you have to poop whenever you go into a bookstore, well, she was the first one with a name attached to it. So people on maybe radio, television, or for print talked to her about her experience. She was a little famous at this time, and it happened many times. She was interviewed or she responded to people's questions in some way, and she didn't mind that, my name is attached to a phenomenon related to having to go to the bathroom.
OK， 所以他在这个地方也顺便回答了我之前的问题，就是说，要是我的话，我会不会想要把自己的名字跟这样的行为、这样的冲动联想在一起呢？还在这句话就告诉你了。他说 ，Mariko Aoki was interviewed many times afterwards。他呢事后，一旦他这个风潮成名了之后，就被许多的这个可能是报章杂志啦，或者是电视台啦，被专访了。Was interviewed， 好，在这里的话，你就可以知道说，在这边他是被很多 was interviewed many times and didn't mind that this phenomenon was named after her。好，他就告诉你说，其实事实上我的名字被他联想到，是进了这个书店里头，居然想上厕所这件事连结在一起了。不介意啊，没有关系呢，他就很大方的觉得，这样很好，这样子。
Okay, next sentence. In the 1990s and 2000s, blank continued to spread about this phenomenon, and it was even studied. Let's start at the end here. If something is studied here, it means people did research on this. Probably people in psychology, possibly in medicine, I don't know, but people took it seriously and they wanted to understand how this happens, not just to one person, but apparently it's rather common. And this took place in the 1990s and 2000s is the way we read that. The 10 years from 2000 to 2009 will be the 2000s. Word is what we want here. Word continued to spread. That means that people were writing about it, talking about it, writing letters, writing articles, researching it, going on TV, radio programs, and so on. We don't say talk continued to spread, but word continued to spread. That means people were talking about it. Many words were spoken or many words were written. The same spell has nothing to do with this. Phrase, we don't use that as a verb in this situation either. So it's definitely C, word.
没错，所以这里的话，我们可以看出来word 跟 spread 这个字的使用，其实很常可以听得到。比方说，今天如果人家告诉你一件事情，你帮忙告诉大家一下 ，please spread the word。spread the word 就是把消息传出去的意思。所以在这边的话，只是把 word 变成主词了，对不对？所以它整句话是说 ，in the 1990s。And 2000s 指的就是1990年代跟2000年年代，这个年代是指2000到2009年这10年的时间。Word continued to spread about this phenomenon， 有很多的消息，很多人都在传送，在不断的传送这件事情，好，不断去讲这件事情。什么事呢？就是 Mariko Aoki phenomenon， 就是这种进了书店就想上厕所的这种冲动，这个现象。And it was even studied， 可能很多的心理学家去研究说，到底为什么会出现这样的现象？还有人去做专门的研究呢。
You might see the expression or hear the expression, word has it that.
Word has it that. 好，就是说听说怎样怎样rumor has it that, legend has it that. 好多这种什么 has it that 的这种说法。
But not talk, spell, or phrase. It has to be word or one of the other items just mentioned. Unfortunately, it's too bad that no definite answer has been found for why this happens, why this phenomenon happens. The psychologists and the doctors can't figure it out, even though millions of people mostly in Japan, have said it has happened to them. As I said before, it's more common than people think.
没错，最后这句话就说 Unfortunately， 即便有很多人在研究，对不对？可是很不幸的事情是呢 ，No definite answer has been found， 没有找到确切的答案 for why this happens， 找到原因说到底为什么会发生这样的现象。Even though millions of people, mostly in Japan， 即便呢有数百万的人，那大部分人是在日本，怎么样呢 ？Have said it has happened to them， 都说哦，我有这发生这样的事情，可是呢，到底原因是什么，我们不知道。
Okay, that's it for today's program. Thanks for joining us. Join us the next time, too. Till then,
bye-bye.
第32页，克漏字，进书店就变异浓。
The Mariko Aoki phenomenon. In 1985, in the 40th volume of the magazine Book, the editor published a letter from a woman in Tokyo. She wrote that every time she walked into a bookstore, she would feel the urge to use the restroom. After the letter was published, many readers responded by saying they shared similar experiences. There was so much interest in the topic that several more articles were written about it. Today, the urge to poop when one looks around a bookstore has become known as the Mariko Aoki phenomenon, which was named after the writer of the original letter. This wasn't the first time feeling the urge to poop in a bookstore was mentioned in print, but it was the first time with a name attached to it. Mariko Aoki was interviewed many times afterwards and didn't mind that this phenomenon was named after her. In the 1990s and 2000s, word continued to spread about this phenomenon, and it was even studied. Unfortunately, no definite answer has been found for why this happens, even though millions of people, mostly in Japan, have said it has happened to them.